Right now, across America, factories that once echoed with the sounds of stamping machines and the night shift whistles are quietly turning off their lights. But they didn't disappear to China or Mexico like many people thought. They crossed the border to a colder land, but one that was warmer for business, Canada. From key industrial states to small towns, this wave is sweeping away tens of thousands of jobs. Leaving empty streets and closed factory gates, America's greatest prides are now met with silence. Why did Canada win right on American soil after all? And what happens next as the North American supply chain is being rewritten daily? In this video, let's explore the 10 states that are losing the most factories and the stories behind each number that you won't want to miss. Is your state on this list, or will it be the next name? This is not a video calling for a boycott or attacking any country. We are simply analyzing a real socio-economic phenomenon that is occurring with all the data and stories collected from both sides of the border. Don't take your eyes off it. Pennsylvania was once proud to be one of the healthiest industrial hearts of America. From Pittsburgh to Allentown, the factories that once bustled with the sounds of stamping machines and the night shift whistles are now silently locked. The story in Erie is the clearest example. A company that manufactures robot components closed in March and just 2 months later opened a brand new facility in the suburbs of Toronto. It was so fast that many workers didn't even have time to find new jobs. In the first 6 months of 2025 alone, Pennsylvania lost over 7,000 manufacturing jobs, and a third of those went straight to Canada. What do you think is the real reason behind this wave of migration? Perhaps part of it is the cost. Across the border, businesses enjoy lower tax rates, faster environmental procedures, and even generous subsidies for green production. Back home, many factory owners complain that they are drowning in paperwork and compliance costs are skyrocketing. Many people compare Pennsylvania to an industrial heart that once beat strongly, pumping blood to nourish the towns, but now the heart rate slows down. Each factory that leaves is like a clogged blood vessel, weakening the economic flow. If you ever grew up in Scranton or Reading, you'll surely remember the scene of the factory gate swinging open at the end of the night shift. Workers striding out onto the street, their conversations mingling with the sounds of buses. Now only the yellow street lights remain and a few figures silently leave the dark workshop area like the industrial heartbeat slowing down. Is this the inevitable transformation of the times or a warning that we are losing a part of our industrial soul where you live? Is the industrial heartbeat still strong or has it started to slow down? And if Pennsylvania, an industrial stronghold, is in this situation, what's happening in the Midwestern states which are heavily reliant on manufacturing? Come to Wisconsin, where a cornerstone industry just left in a matter of months. If Pennsylvania is the industrial heart that's slowing down, then Wisconsin is the crucial link in America's manufacturing supply chain. And that link is starting to come loose. Many people still think of Wisconsin as the land of milk and cheese, but in reality, industrial production is the state's true engine, from heavy machinery to automotive components. Yet in the first quarter of 2025 alone, manufacturing jobs in this area decreased by 2% to 3.2%. The fastest decline in the entire Midwest region. A series of electric vehicle component suppliers formerly based in Milwaukee or Green Bay have moved their entire production lines to Ontario and Quebec. Why do you think this link is getting loose? A Milwaukee-based electric drive module manufacturer frankly admits in Canada electricity prices are significantly lower and benefit from carbon incentives under the Clean Energy Program. And in Wisconsin, production costs are rising, making it a difficult battle to keep the plant. And behind those cold numbers are real-life stories. A worker in Green Bay who worked in maintenance engineering at an EV component factory for over 25 years. He recounted, on the day of the meeting announcing the closure, the entire room fell silent. We knew this was coming, but we didn't think it would happen so quickly. 25 years working for the same company, and now I have to learn how to write a resume again. What's more concerning is that the regional supply chain, which runs through Green Bay, Racine, and Milwaukee, is now shifting toward the northern border. The convoys of trucks that once carried components across the Midwest are now lined up heading toward Canada. Wisconsin is like a taut chain on a suspension bridge. Every time a link comes loose, the whole bridge shakes and becomes unstable. If it's not replaced or tightened in time, the bridge could break and then everything would fall into the water below. And in your opinion, if Wisconsin's industrial chain were to break completely, what would this state become? Just a cargo transfer station where the real value has flowed elsewhere. And if the supply chain is used to running in a new direction, do you think it will go back again? Just imagine if this link were to break completely, what would Wisconsin become? A freight transfer station where the real value has flowed elsewhere. And will they return once supply chains are used to running in a new direction? But if you think Wisconsin has lost a lot, just wait until you see what's happening in Illinois, where a pillar manufacturing industry has packed its bags and moved to Canada, leaving empty factories right in the heart of the state's bustling industrial region. If Wisconsin is a link coming loose, Illinois is more like a large gear in the American industrial machine, and this gear is slowing down and slipping out of place. Illinois has long been a manufacturing powerhouse in the Midwest, producing everything from steel and automobiles to processed foods. But in the first 6 months of 2025 alone, the state lost over 9,000 manufacturing jobs, and most of them didn't go to Asia, but directly to Canada. A machinery manufacturer in Rockford announced it's moving its entire plant to Ontario due to lower taxes and a much faster permitting process. Food processing and packaging companies in the Chicago suburbs are also shrinking, shifting production to Canadian partners. In fact, a frozen food brand in Peoria, which has been associated with the state for over 40 years, just opened a new plant in Nova Scotia, promising to create 500 jobs across the border. But the numbers are just the tip of the iceberg. A woman who used to work on the packaging line at the factory in Peoria shared, "I started working here when I was 20 years old. We're like a family." And yet, one Monday morning, the manager announced, "We're closing at the end of this quarter." No one cried, but everyone understood that a part of their lives had just disappeared. The impact isn't just at the factory. When jobs disappear, the small diner where workers used to have lunch is empty. The corner auto repair shop sees few customers, and the houses that once had lights on all night are now dark. Illinois is now like a giant freight train that once thundered along America's industrial tracks, but is now losing its heaviest cars, causing the entire train to wobble. And every time a car leaves, it doesn't come back, but continues to hurtle north. And then the question is, can Illinois turn things around to keep what's left, or will it continue to see other gears fall out of the machine? If Illinois, with its leading Midwest industrial position, is losing so much, what's happening in California, which was once a shining symbol of high-tech and high-end manufacturing? It's hard to believe. California, once admired by the world as a beacon of technology and innovation, is now witnessing the opposite reality. High-end factories quietly leaving. In the first half of 2025, the state lost over 12,000 manufacturing jobs. More importantly, these are not simple assembly jobs, but high-skilled, well-paying positions, the kind of work that once helped thousands of American families rise into the middle class. Many people believe the cause could be sky-high energy costs. Electricity in California is nearly twice the price in many Canadian provinces. For industries with high electricity consumption, EV batteries, aerospace components, semiconductors, etc., this is an insurmountable cost challenge. Additionally, lengthy regulations and permits have inadvertently created obstacles for many businesses, especially small and medium-sized enterprises. The new project takes 12 to 18 months to be approved, while in Canada, it only takes 6 months or less. For startups, every month of delay means burning money on fixed costs without generating revenue. Meanwhile, across the border, Canada's offering a multi-million-dollar support package for clean energy, lower corporate taxes, and direct training subsidies for workers. California, on the other hand, focuses on high-tech incentives, but seems to have neglected the physical manufacturing sector. An electric vehicle battery startup in San Jose has moved its entire production to Quebec for a familiar reason. Electricity prices in Canada are nearly half as expensive, and environmental procedures are much faster. In Southern California, aerospace component suppliers in Orange County are starting to set up lines in Alberta and Manitoba. Meanwhile, Fresno and Bakersfield, once bright spots in agricultural technology, are also gradually losing production projects to the north. An operations engineer in Fremont recalled, "The day I started working here, everyone said, 'You're standing in the future of America.' Now that future has moved to Canada, California is now like a theater brightly lit by the lights of Silicon Valley. On stage, technology and innovation continue to put on a spectacular show. But if you step back into the wings, the lights fade, revealing empty workshops, dusty workbenches, and company nameplates that have been removed. The problem is, as the spotlight has become accustomed to shining on the glittering startup stories, few have noticed that the manufacturing foundation, the pillar supporting the entire performance, is shaking. And if the backdrop collapses, will the stage lights still be bright enough to keep the California dream alive? If California, the richest state in the country with a world-leading technology brand, can lose such high-end manufacturing gems, can Georgia, a rising star of the southern industry, avoid this wave? Georgia was once considered the rising star of the American industry. With Atlanta as a logistics hub, Savannah as an export gateway, and new industrial parks springing up around satellite cities, the state seems to have found the perfect growth formula. And yet, in 2025 alone, that picture suddenly changed. Over 8,000 manufacturing jobs disappeared. Nearly half of them went straight to Ontario and British Columbia, notably a massive electric vehicle battery project near Savannah. Initially, this was seen as the cornerstone for the state's industrial future, promising thousands of jobs, ancillary contracts, and a strong economic recovery. But when the new factory was only just framed with steel, the project suddenly stopped, only to reappear on Canadian soil. It's like a building that's only half built, but the investor decides to dismantle the frame and move it to another plot of land, leaving the construction site bare and silent. For the local people, it's not just an abandoned project, but also an unfulfilled promise. A truck driver in Augusta recalled, "I used to deliver materials to the construction site every week. Then one day they told me I didn't need to come back anymore. I asked why. They just said the project is being redirected." Redirect? It would be better to move our entire future elsewhere. The causes of the exodus are not particularly new. According to analysts, clean energy incentives in Canada are somewhat more generous. The permitting process is faster and the commitment to long-term support is clearer. Meanwhile, Georgia, despite its prime geographical location, lacks the stable and flexible policies needed to retain major investors, and then the consequences weren't just job losses. Logistics hubs around Augusta are seeing a decrease in truck traffic, and restaurants that were once busy with construction workers are now quiet. The housing market, once hot due to the influx of new workers, is now starting to cool down. Will Georgia seek to rebuild its industrial buildings on this very land, or will it complete them elsewhere? And if a state that was on the verge of breaking through loses momentum like that, what will happen to Ohio, the symbol of heavy industry, when this wave of departures hits? If Ohio is like an industrial clock that has stopped ticking, then New York is like a river that once flowed strongly, but whose current is now silently changing direction. Externally, New York is still remembered by the whole world for Wall Street, Broadway, and its skyscrapers. But in the northern part of the state, from Buffalo and Rochester to Syracuse, a persistent manufacturing network still exists. Electronics, food processing, clean energy equipment. This was once a simmering current that nourished hundreds of skilled labor communities. However, in the past year alone, New York has lost over 10,000 manufacturing jobs. A large portion of them went straight to Canada. For example, a solar panel manufacturer in Albany moved its entire production line to Ontario, drawn by generous R&D support packages and easier access to the European market from Canada. A technician in Rochester recalled, I still think of my job like the Jean River, always flowing, always feeding my family. But now that current has turned in a different direction, we were left on the shore watching it sweep everything north. The cause is familiar, yet it still leaves many people feeling disappointed. High corporate taxes and expensive energy costs, industrial infrastructure is deteriorating while Canada is undergoing significant upgrades. The preferential policies focus on finance and real estate, neglecting the manufacturing sector. As a result, the flow of jobs, which once sustained the entire upstate region, has now changed direction. When the river changed course, the harbor was empty of ships. The market was no longer crowded, and the riverside factories became abandoned warehouses. And if New York doesn't find a way to revive this flow, it risks seeing an entire industrial corridor become a memory. Do you think New York's industrial river can be diverted back, or will it continue to flow further north where you live? Where is that flow heading? Please share your thoughts by leaving a comment below this video. And if a state with both global standing and a long manufacturing tradition like New York allows the industrial river to change course, how will Texas, which once prided itself on being the lone star of manufacturing power, fare when this wave hits? Texas, the Lone Star State, once proud of its symbols of independence and manufacturing power, is now facing an unpalatable reality. The state's industrial star is gradually fading. From Dallas and Houston to border cities like Laredo, Texas has everything it takes to become an industrial hub. Oil and gas, industrial equipment, electronic components, and a vast logistics network. But in the past 12 months alone, the state has lost over 9,200 manufacturing jobs. The surprising thing is that many of those jobs didn't disappear due to the recession, but shifted to Canada. A renowned Dallas-based robotics company recently broke ground on its new factory in Toronto. What do you think made them leave? It was surprising when they said that Canada offers significant tax credits, a skilled workforce from the immigrant community, and the advantage of access to both the Canadian and European markets. A man who works as an assembly technician in Houston shared, "Texas used to be where I thought I would spend my whole life. But when the company announced the opening of a new line in Canada and reduced operations here, I realized the star on our state flag could also fade if no one kept it bright." Although Texas is one of the most developed states in the United States, it sadly has an unstable power grid. The widespread blackouts in the winter of 2021 are still a haunting memory for manufacturers. Additionally, the sharp increase in property insurance costs due to extreme weather has also become a major obstacle. Meanwhile, across the border, neighboring Canada is offering a more stable climate and industrial roadmap, making it easier for businesses to plan long-term. And so, like a domino effect, new investment slowed, component suppliers lost orders, and the flow of exports across the Mexican border decreased as supply chains shifted north. Texas was once a shining star in the American industrial sky, leading the way and attracting investment. But now that light is fading. If it doesn't quickly refuel with stable policies and infrastructure, that star could become just a memory in the eyes of future generations. In your opinion, can Texas maintain its position as the lone star in manufacturing? Or will it have to share that spotlight with the Canadian flag? And if you were an investor, would you choose to stay in Texas or leave? And if Texas, with its immense size and abundant resources, allows the light of industry to dim, what will become of Indiana? A quiet state, but the enduring machine shop of the Midwest when this wave hits. Indiana has long been considered the enduring engine of America. This area specializes in the production of automotive components, heavy machinery, and electronic equipment. The steel gears that are always turning, contributing to the operation of the entire Midwest economy. For decades, this machine has never stopped. But now, it began to emit a dry, grinding sound, a sign that the wear and tear had become severe. In the past 12 months, Indiana has lost over 11,500 manufacturing jobs. More significantly, most businesses didn't shut down completely. They moved their production lines to Ontario and Quebec. A prominent truck chassis manufacturer formerly a strategic partner of the Detroit Big Three, has just cut production by 70% in Indiana to double its investment in Windsor, Canada. Canada is promising a support package of over $400 million US, including labor subsidies, logistics infrastructure, and a commitment to provide stable, clean energy. Meanwhile, Indiana remains reliant on fossil fuels with fluctuating costs and industrial support programs that are not competitive enough. A mechanic in Cocoa recounted, "I got used to the hum of machinery throughout my shift, like the heartbeat of this town. Now that sound has been replaced by the noise of demolition machinery and a heavy silence. Now in Indiana, people are starting to see the factory parking lots empty out and the breakfast diners deserted by night shift workers." The vocational school for mechanical engineering saw a sharp decline in registered students. Long-term workers have to consider moving their entire families to Canada to find new jobs. It seems Indiana, the enduring engine of American industry, is losing some of its crucial gears. And when a machine starts grinding dry, if it's not lubricated in time, it will stop completely. And it's difficult to restart it like before. What do you think Indiana should do to grease its industrial machine again? And if you lived here, would you be willing to move to Canada to continue your profession? If Indiana, dubbed the Midwest's faithful machine shop, is caught in this vortex, what will become of Michigan, the historic heart of the American auto industry? When this wave of change crashes directly into its center, if Indiana is the enduring machine that's starting to grind dry, then Michigan is the sun of the American automotive industry, once shining across the globe, illuminating the entire economy. But now that sun is setting slowly but surely, Detroit, where Henry Ford laid the first brick for the automotive empire, Flint, Lansing, Dearborn, names that were once the golden symbols of the automotive industry. However, in the past 18 months alone, Michigan has lost over 15,000 jobs in the automotive manufacturing and related sectors, the deepest decline since the 2009 crisis. And this time, many factories aren't shrinking due to the recession, but are relocating to Canada. Part of the reason is likely due to rising operating costs and complex environmental regulations. Additionally, Michigan lacks a comprehensive EV strategy compared to Canada, which has launched separate green transition packages for the automotive industry, subsidies for equipment purchases, and on-site worker training support. Not to mention, Canada is also prioritizing tax credits for battery production, which is becoming the new heart of the global automotive industry. And then in Michigan, as the sun set, the cold arrived. The auto parts stores closed. The bustling industrial town fell silent. Many families were forced to leave the state to find new jobs, abandoning the homes that were once lit up every evening. Michigan is at a crossroads. Either it finds a way to make the sun rise again by innovating its strategy, attracting green investment and retaining talent, or it accepts that its light will burn brightly elsewhere, where the flag doesn't bear the American star. Do you think Michigan could make its industrial sunrise again? Or will we witness that light disappear and never return? 10 stories, 10 slices of the same picture. American manufacturing is shifting and Canada is gradually taking the lead in this race. But this isn't just a story about factories or jobs. It's a story about identity, community, and the future of towns that once thrived on industry. And you? What do you think? Is this an inevitable cycle of the global economy or a wake-up call for us to change before it's too late? Where you live, do you see this wave approaching? Please share your answers in the comment section, as your own experiences will help make this picture clearer. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so we can follow, analyze, and stay updated on the socio-economic stories shaping the future together. This video does not represent any government, organization, or business. All data is compiled from reputable sources as of July 2025. The sole purpose of the video is to broaden perspectives, helping viewers better understand the changes occurring in the manufacturing industry, not to incite, attack, or absolutely affirm any political viewpoint. Thank you for watching until the end.